Captain Song gazed out from the massive viewscreen of the UDF Thermopylae, watching stars drift by as Earth's largest supercarrier moved silently through space. The ship represented humanity's greatest achievement, a vessel nearly 15 kilometers long that had taken 20 years to build. Most people didn't understand what it truly was. Most aliens certainly didn't. "Admiral Kang wants to see you on the command deck," said Lieutenant June, standing at attention. Song nodded and made his way through the carrier's vast corridors. The Thermopylae wasn't just a ship, it was a mobile city, manufacturing center, and weapons platform combined. Inside its massive hull, automated factories could produce thousands of combat drones daily. Its power core could sustain continuous operations for years without refueling. When Song arrived on the command deck, Admiral Kang was studying a holographic display of an approaching vessel. "First contact," Kang said simply. The vessel identifies itself as belonging to the Tarun Empire. The alien ship was elegant, all smooth curves and gleaming surfaces that seemed to flow like liquid metal. It was beautiful, but Song noted its obvious weapons systems. The aliens had come prepared for trouble. "They're requesting to speak with Earth's leaders," said Communications Officer Min, her fingers dancing across her console. "Put them through," ordered Kang. The viewscreen flickered, revealing a humanoid alien with silver-blue skin and large, multifaceted eyes. It wore what appeared to be a ceremonial uniform covered in small metallic plates. "I am High Commander Tull of the Tarun Empire," the alien said through the translation system. "We claim this sector as our territory. Your presence here is unexpected." Admiral Kang stepped forward. "I am Admiral Kang of the United Defense Force. We represent Earth and its colonies. We have settled several worlds in this sector over the past 50 years. The alien's expression changed subtly. "Impossible. Our long-range scans detected no advanced civilizations in this region. We developed faster-than-light travel only 70 years ago," Kang explained. "Our expansion has been recent but efficient." High Commander Tull seemed to consider this. "The Tarun Empire has existed for 12,000 years. We have claimed these stars for future expansion. Your colonies must be relocated." Captain Song watched Admiral Kang's face remain perfectly calm, but he knew the Admiral well enough to see the tension in his shoulders. "That won't be possible," Kang replied. "Our colonies represent a significant investment of resources and are home to millions of people." The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "We have observed your vessel and fleet capabilities. The Tarun Empire controls over 10,000 worlds and maintains a fleet of 20,000 warships. Your carrier, while large, appears primitive by our standards." Admiral Kang smiled slightly. "Appearances can be deceiving." After the transmission ended, Admiral Kang turned to his officers. "Opinions." Director Park from Intelligence brought up a tactical display. "Based on their ship designs and what our scans could penetrate, they appear to favor distributed fleet tactics. Many smaller, faster ships rather than concentrated force. Like most spacefaring species," Captain Song noted. "They didn't evolve on a world with oceans like Earth. They never developed the concept of naval carriers." "Precisely," said Admiral Kang. "They see the Thermopylae as an oversized, vulnerable transport. They don't understand what it can do." Over the next week, 3 more Tarun vessels arrived. Each meeting grew more tense as the aliens insisted that humans abandon their outer colonies. Earth's government refused. Captain Song was on the bridge when the transmission came that changed everything. "This is your final warning," said High Commander Tull, now wearing full battle armor. "The Tarun Empire has dispatched its 7th fleet to this sector. 2,000 ships will arrive within 14 days. If your colonies are not evacuated by then, we will remove them by force." After the transmission ended, Admiral Kang immediately contacted Earth Command. "It's time to activate the other carriers," he said. "Normandy and Midway should be positioned at the following coordinates." Captain Song studied the tactical display. The plan was becoming clear. "They think we'll try to defend each colony individually," Song said. "They don't realize what we can do." Admiral Kang nodded. "Humanity has always understood something that the Tarun apparently do not. In space warfare, victory doesn't come from having the most ships. It comes from having the right ships in the right places. As the Thermopylae's vast engines powered up, Captain Song watched the carrier's internal factories begin production. Deep inside the massive vessel, thousands of automated systems came online as the ship prepared for war. "The Tarun see us as primitives," Admiral Kang said quietly. "They look at our 3 supercarriers and see only 3 ships against their thousands. They don't understand what a carrier is," Song replied. "No," the Admiral agreed with a small smile. "They don't. And that will be their downfall." The emergency meeting of Earth's United Defense Force filled the command center with tense voices. Admiral Kang stood at the center table, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching Tarun fleet. 2,000 ships, General Moon said, shaking his head. "They'll reach New Horizon Colony in 3 days." Captain Song studied the formation of the alien armada. The Tarun ships spread across space in a wide net, clearly planning to surround each human colony simultaneously. Their strategy made sense if you believed quantity guaranteed victory. "They've divided their forces to attack all 7 colonies at once," Admiral Kang noted. "Exactly as we predicted." Fleet Admiral G, the highest-ranking officer present, looked concerned. "Even with our 3 supercarriers, we're outnumbered 600 to 1. A slight smile crossed Admiral Kang's face. "Only if you count ships, not if you count what's inside them." The room fell silent as Admiral Kang activated the main display. The schematics of the Thermopylae, Normandy, and Midway appeared, revealing their true nature. "The Tarun see our carriers as primitive because they're looking for the wrong things," Kang explained. "They expect visible weapon systems, standard missile bays, fighter hangars. What they don't understand is that each carrier is essentially a mobile planet." The display zoomed in, showing the vast manufacturing facilities within each vessel. "Each carrier contains automated factories capable of producing 10,000 combat drones per day," Admiral Kang continued. "The Tarun have 2,000 ships. We have 3 carriers that can deploy 60,000 autonomous weapons within hours." Captain Song watched the faces around the room. Some showed relief, others remained skeptical. "The Tarun technology is still superior to ours in many ways," General Moon pointed out. "But not in 2 critical areas," Admiral Kang replied. "First, our quantum entanglement communication network allows instantaneous coordination across all theaters. The Tarun still rely on faster-than-light signals that take minutes to reach across their formation." Admiral G nodded slowly. "And the second advantage? They don't know what we can do," Kang said simply. The meeting continued for another hour as the final details of Operation Thunderstrike were confirmed. Each carrier would position itself at a strategic point, appearing to defend Earth's most valuable colonies. The Tarun would see this as desperation. 3 large, slow vessels trying to cover 7 colonies. After the meeting, Captain Song walked with Admiral Kang back to the Thermopylae's shuttle bay. "Do you think it will work?" Song asked quietly. "The Tarun have conquered dozens of species," Kang replied. "But I've studied their battle records. They've never faced anything like our carriers. They evolved on a rocky world with no oceans. Their military doctrine developed without the concept of naval warfare." Song nodded. "While humans have 5,000 years of experience with carriers projecting force." "Exactly," said Kang. "We've been perfecting this strategy since ancient times." As they reached the shuttle, a communication alert sounded. Lieutenant June's voice came through. "Admiral, the Tarun are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding to speak with Earth's leadership." Back aboard the Thermopylae, Captain Song stood on the bridge as the main screen displayed High Commander Tull. The alien's silver-blue skin seemed darker now, and he wore full battle armor decorated with symbols Song assumed represented military. "Victories, people of Earth," Tull began, his translated voice cold and precise. "The 7th Fleet of the Tarun Empire has entered your territory. Your colonies have 24 hours to begin evacuation. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." Admiral Kang stepped forward. "And if we refuse?" The alien commander's multifaceted eyes gleamed. "Your species is young and clearly doesn't understand its place in the galaxy. The Tarun Empire has existed for 12,000 years. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours. Your primitive carriers cannot save you." "You're making a mistake," Kang said quietly. "No," Tull replied. "The mistake was yours when you settled in our territory. We have studied your vessels. They are large but slow and poorly armed. Your other ships are few and technologically inferior. This will be a brief conflict." After the transmission ended, a heavy silence fell over the bridge. Then Admiral Kang turned to his crew. "Send the signal to Normandy and Midway," he ordered. "Deploy to designated positions, begin full production cycle." Deep within the massive carrier, thousands of manufacturing systems hummed to life. Automated assembly lines began producing combat, drones by the hundreds. Advanced AI systems ran battle simulations identifying weaknesses in Taran ship designs. "They've made 2 critical errors," Admiral Kang said to Captain Song as they watched the activity monitors. "They've judged us by their standards, and they've divided their forces." Song nodded. "How long until we're ready?" 12 hours, Kang replied. "And then we'll show the Tarun what a supercarrier can really do." Commander Gill stood on the bridge of the supercarrier Midway, watching the tactical display as the massive vessel moved into position near Europa Colony. The carrier's engines barely made a sound despite pushing the 15-kilometer vessel through space. Outside, the stars seemed to drift by slowly, but Gill knew they were traveling at tremendous speed. "Status report," he ordered. "Production facilities operating at maximum capacity," responded Officer Han from her station. "Drone manufacturing has completed 8,000 units. Weapon systems are at 95% readiness." Gill nodded with satisfaction. The Midway looked like a giant, slow target from the outside. The Tarun would expect it to be filled with human crews and conventional weapons. They had no idea that most of its vast interior was dedicated to automated factories and launch systems. "The Taran fleet has divided as expected," reported Intelligence Officer Jin. "They've split into 7 battle groups to simultaneously attack all our colonies." On the main screen, Gill could see hundreds of red dots representing Taran ships moving toward the human settlements. Their formation was spreading thin as they attempted to cover all possible escape routes from the colonies. "They're broadcasting victory messages already," Jin added with a slight smile. "Their commander is giving speeches about how quickly they'll defeat us." "Have they scanned us?" Gill asked. "Yes, sir. Their scans show they've classified our carriers as massive transport vessels with minimal defensive capabilities." Gill couldn't help but laugh. The Tarun were looking for the wrong things: visible weapon ports, external missile bays, fighter hangars. They couldn't detect the true nature of the supercarriers because they had no concept of what they were seeing. "Admiral Kang is calling from the Thermopylae," Communications Officer Su announced. The main screen switched to show Admiral Kang's face. Behind him, Captain Song was reviewing data on a smaller screen. "Commander Gill, status report?" Kang asked. "Midway is in position," Gill responded. "Production cycle is 80% complete. We'll be ready in 2 hours." "Good." "The Normandy reports similar readiness," Kang said. "The Tarun fleet is proceeding exactly as predicted. They believe we're desperately trying to position our carriers to protect our most valuable colonies." Gill studied the tactical map again. The 3 supercarriers were positioned in what would appear to be a defensive triangle, each protecting a major colony. To the Tarun, it would look like humans were sacrificing their smaller outposts to protect their largest settlements. "Have they detected our drone production?" Gill asked. "No," replied Admiral Kang. "Our hulls block their scans effectively. They see our power signatures but assume it's inefficient propulsion systems. They have no idea we're generating that energy for manufacturing." On another screen, Gill could see the Tarun commander giving a speech to his forces. The alien's confidence was clear even through the translation. "The humans have only 3 significant vessels," the Tarun commander was saying. "They are large but primitive. Their colonies will fall within hours, and this irritating species will learn its proper place in the galaxy." After Admiral Kang's transmission ended, Gill walked through the carrier's vast corridors to the main production level. The sight still amazed him even after years serving aboard the Midway. Stretching for kilometers in every direction were automated, assembly lines producing combat drones. Each drone was relatively simple: a small fusion power source, advanced targeting systems, and specialized weapons. Some carried gravitational distortion torpedoes that could tear apart Tarun ships from the inside. Others were equipped with shield-penetrating missiles or electronic warfare systems. "Beautiful, aren't they?" said Chief Engineer Sun, approaching from a side corridor. "How many will we launch?" Gil asked. 20,000 from the Midway alone, Sun replied. "The Thermopylae and Normandy will launch similar numbers. 60,000 drones against 2,000 Tarun ships." Gil nodded. "And each drone is networked through quantum entanglement. Perfect coordination with zero communication delay. While the Taran ships need to send signals to each other," Sun added. "Even at faster than light speeds, they'll have delays of several minutes between their battle groups." As Gil returned to the bridge, he received the final deployment orders from Fleet Command. The Midway would open its massive launch bays simultaneously with the other carriers, releasing thousands of drones in a single, overwhelming wave. "The Taran fleet is entering final attack positions," Officer Jin reported. "They'll be in range of our colonies in 30 minutes. And they still believe we're just 3 large primitive ships?" Gil asked. "Yes, Commander. Their communications indicate they plan to destroy our carriers first as a demonstration, then demand the colony's surrender." Gil smiled as he took his command chair. The bridge crew worked quietly, making final preparations. Throughout the vast carrier, launch systems moved into position. The automated factories finished their production runs and began loading drones into massive deployment bays. "Signal from Admiral Kang," announced Officer Su. "Operation Thunderstrike will commence in 15 minutes. "Prepare all systems," Gil ordered. "The Tarun are about to learn why you should never underestimate humanity." Admiral Kang stood calmly on the bridge of the Thermopylae as the final countdown began. Around him, officers worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Captain Song stood at his side, watching the tactical display showing the Taran fleet's formation. "All systems ready," reported Lieutenant June. "Drone deployment systems online. Quantum network synchronized with Normandy and Midway." Kang nodded. "Begin Operation Thunderstrike." Throughout the massive supercarrier, hidden seams in the hull began to separate. Panels that had appeared to be solid armor slid aside, revealing vast launch bays. The same was happening on the Normandy and Midway, positioned at other strategic points in the system. "Launch all drones," ordered Captain Song. From the Thermopylae's launch bays, thousands of combat drones poured into space, like a metallic river. Each was the size of a small car but packed with advanced weapons and guided by sophisticated AI. The drones accelerated instantly to attack speed, their small fusion engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. Across the system, the same scene played out from the other 2 carriers. In less than 30 seconds, 60,000 human combat drones were streaking toward the surprised Tarun fleet. On the Tarun flagship, High Commander Tull was preparing to give the order to attack when alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "Commander," cried his sensor officer. "The human vessels, they're deploying. Something is wrong with our sensors. They show thousands of small craft launching simultaneously." Tull rushed to the display. What he saw made no sense. The 3 human carriers were releasing what appeared to be tens of thousands of fighter-sized vessels. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their carriers couldn't hold so many fighters. There's no room for the pilots." "They're not manned," reported his officer with growing alarm. "They're automated drones, and they're approaching at extremely high speed." Tull's mind raced. The humans had hidden their true capabilities. What he had dismissed as primitive transport vessels were actually massive drone carriers. But even now he didn't understand the full threat. "Order all ships to target the incoming drones," he commanded. "They cannot possibly have effective weapons at that size." He was wrong. Back on the Thermopylae, Admiral Kang watched as the first wave of drones made contact with the Tarun fleet. The results were immediate and devastating. The drones, connected through quantum entanglement, coordinated their attacks with perfect precision. There was no communication delay, no possibility of jamming their signals. "First wave has engaged," reported Lieutenant June. "Gravitational torpedoes deploying." On the tactical display, Admiral Kang watched as hundreds of Tarun ships were suddenly torn apart from within. The specialized torpedoes created localized distortions in gravity, ripping the alien vessel's structural integrity apart. Second wave engaging. June continued. Shield penetrators active. The second group of drones targeted the larger Tarun command ships, firing missiles designed to phase through their energy shields. Once past the shields, the missiles detonated, disabling the ship's main systems. Captain Song studied the displays with professional interest. The Tarun are trying to regroup, but their formation is broken. Their communication lag is preventing coordinated defense. Indeed, the Tarun fleet was in chaos. Their battle plan had assumed they would be attacking nearly defenseless colonies, guarded by 3 slow, primitive carriers. Instead, they found themselves under simultaneous attack at every point in their formation. Their faster-than-light communications were too slow to coordinate responses across their widely spread forces. "They're trying to target our carriers directly," noted Lieutenant June. Admiral Kang nodded. "As expected, deploy countermeasures." Thousands of electronic warfare drones activated around the carriers, creating false sensor readings and jamming. Tarun targeting systems. The few missiles that made it through were intercepted by point defense systems. On the Tarun flagship, now damaged and losing power, High Commander Tull watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. Within 45 minutes, over half his ships were destroyed or disabled. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They are primitives. They've been in space for less than a century." His second-in-command, bleeding from a head wound, looked up from a damaged console. "They tricked us, Commander. Those weren't just carriers, they're mobile factories and launch platforms. Each one contained enough drones to target every ship in our fleet simultaneously." Tull's multifaceted eyes dimmed as he understood. "They let us scan their vessels. They wanted us to underestimate them." "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we've lost contact with Battle Groups 3 and 5. Battle Groups 1 and 7 are requesting permission to retreat." In just over an hour, the mighty Taran 7th Fleet, pride of an empire that had stood for 12,000 years, was reduced to scattered groups of damaged vessels trying to escape. On the bridge of the Thermopylae, Admiral Kang received the reports with quiet satisfaction. 80% of enemy vessels neutralized or destroyed. Remaining ships are retreating from the system. "Should we pursue?" asked Captain Song. Admiral Kang shook his head. "No need. They've learned their lesson. Now it's time for diplomacy." 3 days after Operation Thunderstrike, Captain Song stood in the large conference room aboard the Thermopylae. The room had been prepared for what would become a historic meeting. A long table dominated the center, with Earth's representatives on one side and empty chairs waiting on the other. "They're approaching," Lieutenant June announced from her position by the door. Admiral Kang nodded, straightening his formal uniform. Beside him stood General Moon and 3 diplomats from Earth's United Council. The doors slid open, revealing High Commander Tull and 4 other Tarun officials. The aliens moved stiffly, their silver-blue skin looking dull in the room's bright lights. Their once proud military decorations seemed subdued now. Tull's eyes, which had once gleamed with confidence, now moved nervously around the room. "Welcome aboard the Thermopylae," Admiral Kang said politely. The Tarun delegation took their seats without speaking. Finally, High Commander Tull placed a small device on the table. It projected a document written in both human and Tarun languages. "The Tarun Empire formally surrenders all claims to this sector," Tull said, his translated voice flat. "We request immediate cessation of hostilities and the return of our surviving crews." Captain Song studied the alien commander carefully. Just days ago, this being had threatened to destroy human civilization. Now he could barely meet their eyes. "We accept your surrender," said the lead Earth diplomat. "All undamaged Tarun vessels may depart immediately. Damaged ships will receive assistance before leaving." Tull's large eyes blinked rapidly. "You would help repair our ships?" "We have no desire to cause unnecessary suffering," Admiral Kang replied. This conflict was avoidable. The meeting continued for another hour as terms were discussed. The Tarun agreed to recognize all human colonies and establish formal diplomatic relations. Trade agreements would be negotiated later. When the aliens finally left, Captain Song remained with Admiral Kang in the conference room. 3 hours and 27 minutes, Song said quietly. That's how long the actual fighting lasted. The shortest major war in human history, Kang agreed. And hopefully the last. Later that day, Captain Song walked with Admiral Kang through one of the vast drone recovery bays. Thousands of combat units were returning to the carrier, being cataloged and repaired by automated systems. Nearly 80% of the drones had survived the battle. The Tarun don't understand what happened, Song said. Their empire has existed for 12,000 years. They've conquered dozens of species. Then they meet us and lose a war in under 4 hours. They made a common mistake, Kang replied. They judged our technology by their standards. When they scanned our carriers and saw no conventional weapons, they assumed we were primitive. Instead, each carrier was a self-contained war machine, Song added. Factory, command center, and deployment platform in one. A week later, the officers of the 3 supercarriers gathered on the observation deck of the Thermopylae. Through the massive windows, they could see the disabled Tarun vessels being towed to jump points where they would begin their journey home. News had already spread throughout the galaxy. Representatives from 12 other alien civilizations had contacted Earth, requesting diplomatic relations. What happens now? Commander Gill asked, joining Captain Song by the window. Everything changes, Song replied. The Tarun have been the dominant power in this sector for thousands of years. Now every species knows they were defeated in hours by a civilization they considered primitive. Admiral Kang approached, holding a data tablet. We've received new orders from Earth Command. The Thermopylae is being reassigned. Another military mission? Asked Song. No, Kang said with a small smile. Exploration. The United Council believes we should use this opportunity to establish peaceful contact with other civilizations. 6 months later, Captain Song stood on the bridge of the Thermopylae once more. The supercarrier looked different now. Large sections had been converted from drone production to scientific laboratories and diplomatic facilities. They were approaching a star system where 3 different alien species had established a trading post. They're hailing us, reported the new communications officer. On the main screen appeared 3 different alien faces, representatives of species humans had never encountered before. Welcome to Triad Station, said one of the aliens. We've heard much about Earth and its capabilities. Captain Song nodded politely. Thank you for receiving us. We come in peace and friendship. After the transmission ended, Song turned to Admiral Kang. They're afraid of us. Yes, Kang agreed. That's why this mission is so important. We must show the galaxy that humanity prefers cooperation to conflict. As the massive carrier moved toward the station, Song reflected on how quickly things had changed. In less than a year, humanity had gone from an unknown species to a major power. All because 3 supercarriers had ended a war in mere hours. Universe has changed, Kang said quietly, seeming to read Song's thoughts. And our responsibility now is to ensure it changes for the better.